on how you look at it, in your business already, either in what you're already doing or what you already have. Yeah, hopefully everyone here believes in the value of some of the products that we're going to talk a little bit about today. The two I'm using as some of the examples today are going to be cancer insurance and hospital indemnity plans. I'd say probably the two, just broadest audiences of some of the ancillary or supplementary type products that we have. So yeah, this is really going to break down kind of the numbers behind it, the profit, which I think people see maybe on a per app basis, but I'm going to run that out over a few years time span and really show just how much money, again, is either hidden in your work that you're already doing and could be uncovered, or is lost revenue, stuff that's not being taken care of. And again, I hope everyone already believes in the need for these products. If you don't believe in that, yet at least, we've got a library full of video content. We've got a cancer task force here. We've got a million other webinars that we have done, speaking more to the why behind the products. So today's going to be less about the why from a client standpoint. We've got tons of content on that. I would definitely encourage you to check out. This is going to be more about, for you, the benefit and the profit that you as an agent can be making by bringing up these products. So again, believe in the product. We'll get to all of that if you don't already, but today we're going to talk about why it's good for you to be doing. So you're going to be staring at the top of my head for a good chunk of this while I kind of write this down. So you guys are going to kind of follow along. I'm basically going to be doing a little bit of math here to kind of show what is on the table and how much benefit this really can have. Luckily, I got a haircut, so you at least have hopefully a good top of my head to look at today, but mostly follow along with what I'm writing more so than what you're looking at here. So, and I'm writing on an iPad here, so bear with me if I have some mess ups here. We'll just roll with them. So I'm gonna break it down, and it immediately did the thing it did earlier. Maybe I need to write slower. Sadie, help.
We'll try it out here. Click this.
We tested this right before, and we got it working, and then all of a sudden it had the same problem again.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I'm gonna give us a couple columns here that we're gonna work with. Sadie, why is it doing that?
We're trying out new technology.
I literally
today,
drew the whole thing out right before this, and it worked.
Try to keep your hand off of it if you can. There we go.
I'll work on that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna break it into a couple categories here. So the first one is gonna be just your core product. The second one is gonna be the core product and writing a cancer plan. And then the third category is gonna be core with cancer. And again, bear along with the bad handwriting. Hopefully me narrating will help. And a hospital indemnity plan. So for the intents of a core plan on this, I'm meaning either a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement plan. Pretty interchangeable for this. I know the numbers will vary slightly, but I'm trying to keep the math somewhat simple and not get too in depth on this. So the first line we're going to look at is just your commission. Again, terrible handwriting per app on each one of these. So if all you're writing is a core product, I'm going to use the round number of $300. So that'd be your renewal year or replacement year on Medicare Advantage, or a rough estimate on a Medicare supplement plan. Again, some variation in there, but I'm just going to keep it consistent throughout this. Second number here, I'm going to do the core plus cancer. So you keep that same $300 that you would have had from the core plan, plus I'm going to use $400 as the number here for the cancer insurance plan. How I arrived at that is the average premium, if you talk to our carriers, is going to be right around a $500 annual premium. And I'm just going to use an example here. One of our top selling plans is going to be right around 80% first year commission. So 80% of 500, $400. So add those together, you got $700 per client. So already significantly more. Then we're going to go to this last category here. So we can carry over the 700 from the middle category. And then we're also going to add a hospital indemnity plan to this. So if you were to add that, that's going to be about another $300. So how I arrived at that one, $500 is again about the average annual premium of a hospital indemnity plan. And our top selling plan is going to be right around 60% first year commission. So 60% of 500, $300. So that brings us to a grand total of $1,000 of first year commission that you'd be getting on that plan. So right out the gate here, you can already see just per presentation or per client or however you want to look at this, you're already going to see a big difference. However, I want to show a little bit more. now is when you're really gonna that says acquisition, if you can read that, but to take out your acquisition cost for the client. So this is something where you can insert if you're following along. If you know that number, which if you don't, you should, and you should definitely talk with our team if you don't know that number about how you can calculate that, you know, and kind of what some realistic numbers are for that. I want to err very conservative on most of the stuff and not paint too, you know, crazy of a picture. So I'm going to use $200 for this. I would say that's probably a pretty low end acquisition cost. You know, I feel like we hear anywhere from $300, maybe even as high as $500 as other numbers out there. But for what I'm showing here, I want to be conservative, and the bigger this number is, the crazier the differences are going to get as we go on. So again, I want to be conservative here. So I'm going to say $200, and that's going to be a minus on each one of these. God, terrible handwriting, Matt. Again, so we're taking that off. But the nice thing is that's the same for all of these. Your acquisition cost is no higher, even though your commission on that policy is way higher. Your acquisition cost is the same. You're talking an extra, you know, anywhere from 5 to maybe 30 minutes extra in a presentation. 30, I think, is being incredibly generous to be able to bring up these extra products. Keep in mind, hospital indemnity plan can be sold on the Medicare Advantage appointment. Cancer plan, you'd have to do a follow-up for, but I would advise that you're doing a follow-up plan pretty, you know, near after writing a Medicare Advantage plan regardless. And if you're writing a Med Sup, you can do all of this at once. So again, very, very minimal, if any, should be none as far as difference in acquisition costs there.
We do have someone asking for a Reader's Digest version of acquisition.
Yeah, basically, so look at whatever your you know, operating and marketing costs are going to be, and then divide that by the new clients that you're getting from that. So if you are, for example, just, you know, going door to door to clients' houses, you don't have any fixed expenses like an office or rent or things like that, then all you would take into consideration would be whatever your lead or marketing cost was to actually get that appointment set. And then you would also want to factor in your time and like travel costs. So, you know, mileage, whatever expenses you would have for part of that trip there. And then again, you got to keep in mind, you're not selling every one of those presentations. So if it takes you 5 presentations, for example, to get 1 sale, you'd have to take all 5, the cost from all 5 of those presentations, divide that by the 1 sale. That would be your acquisition cost. And we can definitely expand a lot more on that. If you have an office, I would also suggest taking into things like your operating costs, that type of thing, into consideration for that. Or if you have ongoing marketing that you do on a monthly basis, you know, whether that's social media, paid ads, yellow pages, billboards, whatever. So now we're going to break this down as the actual profit per client. So if we run this one out here, so I'm just taking that commission minus the acquisition cost, and we get $100 here. We get $500 here. And $800 here. So this is the part I really want to stop on for a second here. So while your commissions go up from 300 to 700 to 1,000, so you look at that as, you know, your commissions, if you write 3 products, for example, a little more than tripled. What you have to look at though is the actual profit that you made on that, not just the commissions. So if you multiply this out, which we're about to here in a second, you'll see how these numbers add up way bigger when they start getting multiplied. Of, you didn't triple what you made, you tripled your revenue, but you did 8x on your profit for that particular client. So the numbers really get bigger when you throw in those acquisition costs. The higher your acquisition cost gets, the better these numbers look. For example, if you're someone who has a $300 acquisition cost, which is not uncommon at all, you're essentially breaking even on the core product. You know, your renewals are probably where you're actually making some money. Yeah. So by adding these extra products, you could go from 0 profit to, you know, say if it was $300, you'd be at $400 and $700 profit with additional products. So again, that one can kind of move around based on your actual numbers. Now we're going to run this out times 100 clients, and we're going to say that's in, you know, a year's time span, and we're just going to say same in both of these categories. And I'm getting into my little marks for my knuckles here, so I apologize for that. And then year 1 income. So if you did this, sorry, handwriting. If you did this for a full year, what would this actually come out to? So here we're talking $10,000 in income. If you had 100 clients a year at a $200 acquisition cost, which again is probably conservative for most people, you're only talking about $10,000 in new income that's coming in. So if that's your first year in the business, $10,000 is what you're making. If you've already been doing this for several years and you're just adding that many clients a year, That's all the new revenue that you're bringing in from that.
Mhm.
Go to the next category down here. That number goes all the way up to 50,000. And if you follow along and are halfway decent at math, can figure out that it goes to 80,000 on the last category. So again, that's where I talk about, it's not just a marginal difference in the income. It's 5 times the income to write an additional product. It's 8 times the income to write a second product in each one of those. And you can basically swap these out too. Throw in a short-term care plan or a dental plan. It's a final expense. It's even higher. I'm just using these two because these probably have the most broad appeal of products, but swap in other products that make sense. You need to be presenting all of those, and these give you some numbers on that.
Mhm.
Now, this is the part where I think a lot of people don't, everybody kind of stops at this and goes, wow, okay, big difference. I have yet to see any meaningful demonstration that kind of runs these numbers out. And to me, this is where it really, really, really shows up, is when you start looking at your retention and your renewal numbers on this. So especially if you're newer to the industry and you're trying to build a sizable renewal, I joke all the time, this is a get rich slow scheme. Nobody gets rich in their first year or any
Right,
Medicare
yeah.
plans. It's the residual income, right? It's the renewals that you can build. This is where this really makes the difference. This is where the title of today's webinar comes from. So if we run this out now and show what your year 5 retention, and we're going to abbreviate that because it's going to get ugly here, how many clients you would retain over 5 years. So this is the number of clients, and this is based on a LIMRA study that we've cited for several years. It's still the most up-to-date numbers that I've seen on this. This was a study specifically to the insurance field based on how many products an agent has in place with that client, what their retention is over 5 years. So what the study looked at was 1, 2, and then 3 or more products, and what the retention rate was. If you have one product only per household with your clients, on average, you will retain 35% of those clients over 5 years. So using that number, and if I just do that on a linear basis, if you were, those fell off at a linear rate over 5 years, that means that you would have 305 clients left after 5 years doing this. Again, if they fell off at a linear rate, not all of them falling off year 1. If you add a second product to the mix, that retention rate goes up to 56%. So by 2 products in household, you almost double your retention rate over 5 years. So if we run out that 56% retention rate with 2 products, you now have 370 clients that stayed on the books over 5 years. The big one, 3 or more products, that retention rate is 92%. So almost triple the retention rate. So at that point, you would have retained 476 of those 500 clients. So a huge jump by getting to that third product. What does that actually mean? So we got to look then to find out how much money you're actually making. What is your renewal per client? And I apologize for all these little marks all over here. Hopefully that's not too distracting to everything. So your renewal, I'm going to abbreviate, per client. So your renewal per client. So on the core product, that's going to be the same. So $300 is what you made the first year. If you're writing a med sup, in almost every situation, it's going to be level for the first 6 years. Plus, there's a good chance by that point you're going to be moving them to another company anyway. So it should be close to level for life on there. And Medicare Advantage, we know, is level for life at that $300 number. Again, should scale over time as the numbers go up each year. We're just going to say 300 for this though. So $300 renewal per client that you have on the books. And I'm just going to go ahead and run these out. So if we look at this and say year, we're going to abbreviate 5 renewal. So that 305 clients times $300 per client that you have there means that your renewal income after 5 years is $91,500 that you have coming in just in renewals, not including first year business. If we go to writing a second product, so 370 clients, but your renewal per client is actually a little bit higher. You wrote that extra cancer plan on there, so not only are you getting the renewal from your MedSup or MA plan that you'd written with them, but you're also getting a small renewal from that cancer plan. Again, just looking to our most commonly written plan that we have, that number is about 6%. That can vary a little bit company to company. Some are even a little bit higher than that. But I'm just going to use that number for this. So that brings your renewal amount actually up to $330 per client, so a little bit higher. So 370 clients at $330 a piece. The difference of adding that extra product is an extra over $30,000 of income. You're at a little over $122,000. Again, just in your renewal, they're getting on that. So by cross-selling one product, you just added, what's that, about 30% to your income by cross-selling one product on each one of those. Again, no additional acquisition cost. And when we get to the bottom here, I'm going to kind of add this all together here in a second, and you'll see what that actually means as far as annual income. Go into the last category. So we get to keep that $330 from the last one, but we also get to add in the renewal from the hospital indemnity plan that you had written on that. Our most popular plan is an 8% renewal. So that's an extra $40 that you'd be getting on that one at that $500 annual premium. So $330 plus $40. We got $370 per client that you have from this. Again, swap this for some other products. The numbers are going to come out pretty close to the same with some other ancillary products. 476 clients at $370 a piece is $176,000, 120. So you are talking about almost doubling your income, just your renewals, by adding 2 more products. And again, I would say there's probably 5 additional products that you could present to a client out there. Again, we could add in short-term care, final expense, dental, home health care. I could go a lot of different directions with this. So just by having 2 of those stick, this is the difference in what you have just in your renewals. Now, if we add all of this together at the bottom, and I'm going to make my lines a little longer so everything works out a little better here. We look at your income in year 6. So now we add that renewal that you have built up. Plus, if you just keep doing what you've been doing and add 100 new clients every year. So again, not growing your business, which I think most of you would say you want to add a larger number of new clients every year, just keeping it linear. You keep adding 100 new clients a year. We can take this year 1 income number here and just add this into the year 5 number. So now we are at 101,500 with just 1 product. Going to do the same thing on the next line over here. That brings us to 172,100 by adding in that $50,000 number from above. And the last category, the big number, $256,120, adding that $80,000 of year 1 income to the $176,000 of renewal there. So that is where you see the really big difference at the end of this, going from a little over 100,000 in 5th year, 6th year income to over 250,000. And again, this is by adding the same number of clients, running essentially the same number of appointments. Again, maybe some of these come from a follow-up appointment with your client, but not new leads or anything like that you're having to work. So it's minimal more effort on your part as an agent. It's not a ton more work for you. It's not, again, more leads that you're purchasing, a whole new marketing campaign, anything like that. It's just presenting when you're on the appointment with the client. And I picked 2 products. Again, we could scale this up. I'm not saying, in most cases, I doubt all clients are going to want to buy 5, 6 products. They probably don't need 5 or 6 products. But I think the majority of clients that you work with probably need it. I would say all of them need at least 1. You'll have a tough time convincing me anyone that doesn't need a cancer plan. And the vast majority are going to need a cancer plan and something else, whether that's a hospital indemnity, if they're on an MA plan, dental, if they're on a Medicare supplement plan. I think short-term care is very undermarketed, misunderstood. I would say there's a ton of need there. Final expense, all those. So again, I would consider these pretty conservative numbers. And this is the difference in agents that have been in the business for 5 years, 10 years, running out a little bit farther. You can see 2 agents that have essentially the same size blocks of business, living completely different lifestyles, having 2 very different stories based on what they did in their business. And again, this is, if I'm being generous, maybe 20% more work, probably more like 10% more work for 2.5 times the income.
Absolutely. I think going through the process of figuring out what core product works for them is significantly more work than just adding the question on, is cancer a concern of yours, or whatever it may be. We've had, like he said, we have plenty of resources out there, as well, just our team. You can call our team and kind of talk through, but sometimes this is as easy as just asking one more question in their appointment.
Yep.
If you have any questions, please feel.
I see some in
here.
Yeah.
Please feel free to throw them in the questionnaire box.
Jesse's question, how does this work? It said SOP, I'm assuming means scope of appointment. Yeah, scope on a Medicare Advantage plan that frowns on offering more additional products. So Hospital indemnity is on the scope of appointment for, I think, every scope of appointment I've seen. You have the opportunity to present hospital indemnity. So you can compliantly sell that on a Medicare Advantage appointment. If you are not offering that on every Medicare Advantage appointment that you have, you are very much missing the boat on that. It should be clients buying that in very, very large numbers. It's very little, $30, $40 monthly premium to protect them from, an average of maybe $2,000 in hospitalization out of pocket. So huge opportunity there. So hospital indemnity, yes, you can present on the Medicare Advantage appointment. Cancer insurance, final expense, these other ones that we talked about, you cannot present on the initial MA appointment. However, I would recommend that any MA client that you have, you're having a follow-up with them, I would say within their first 90 days of that plan anyway, just kind of a quality check, make sure they, got their dentist appointment scheduled, make sure that they've gotten into their primary care, that they've at least learned how to use that they did their HA, their health assessment. It's extra money for you also. Make sure that they've completed all of that. You should be doing that time of appointment as well too. But anyway, you should be doing those follow-up appointments anyway. On those follow-up appointments, all bets are off. You can absolutely present this when you're following up with a current client of yours. I would also add really quickly on that question, if you are meeting with a client and they're staying put because they have a Medicare Advantage plan that they're already in the right plan, there's no need to make any changes there. Great opportunity then to offer them a hospital indemnity plan so you can still salvage that appointment. I'm sure you guys all run into that where you meet with someone, they're already on the best plan. There's no reason for you to change something. Offer a hospital indemnity plan. Do that, and then on a follow-up there, offer cancer, all that other stuff. It's a zero if you don't offer anything. You may as well try to get that extra product in there.
Absolutely. We do have another question here. Will this work if I don't have clients and new to offering these products?
It absolutely will. Sorry, I think that was earlier on in here. Hopefully that answered your question as you went. But yes, all of the numbers on this page are starting with 0 clients. Every number on here is based on starting from 0. So yes, this is very real numbers for that. And if you already have some clients or already have some income, add these numbers to it, or better yet, if you've already got, even 50 clients, definitely 500 or 1,000 clients, go back and cross-sell everybody, because I would be willing to bet that most of you don't have 2 products or 3 products in the house of all of your clients. Start with your current clients, go there and present these products to them, and the numbers are huge. Then the acquisition cost again is near 0. You're not having to do hardly anything.
Absolutely. So like we said, go ahead and throw those questions in there. If we don't have any more in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But one thing I do want to mention is we do have a webinar coming up here in a few weeks, I think, of cancer products. So if you're interested in looking into what cancer products are best, or in our opinion, you can join that and kind of take a look from us, an unbiased side of what those are. But also our outreach team, that's what they do. They work with you to help build your portfolio. That's the whole team that he runs. So
if you're unsure of which products, like if you're seeing, these products I'm mentioning, cancer, hip, final expense, what have you, and you're like, I don't know, do I have good contracts for that? Call us. We can absolutely make the recommendations. We go through, we actually just went through maybe 2 months back, all the products we have, which is probably, 10 to 20 in each of these categories that we have, line them all up side by side. We have tons of agents writing them. So we know all the things, we've seen all the feedback. We can tell you which product truly is the right ones to offer, and make sure that you don't have to think about that. You just have good stuff on there. Who do I call? Who's us? Us as senior marketing specialists, and the number is 800-689-2800.
Yes.
One other thought I was going to have for anyone who does have current clients, especially, I know we have a really good worksheet that helps you calculate the income that's in your current block by adding these products to cross-sell. So if you are someone who does have current clients and would like that, again, call our office. We can absolutely get that for you. Just tell them that it's Will in our office who has that. So you can tell them you need Will's cheat sheet, who put that together, and it breaks down exactly that. It lets you type in your numbers, your actual commission numbers, and it'll calculate it all out, tell you how much money you can make on it.
Absolutely. So like we said, I'll give you just 4 minutes to throw those questions in there. Another thing these days is e-apps make it so easy to also be able to add on these extra products. Make it so easy. And it's even as easy as just clicking a button and then adding it to your product. Now, one thing that we have said is, if they cancel that main product, then they might cancel the but
that's only if it's a rider though. If just because it's written through the same app, that wouldn't be the case. There's one good point there though of like, If you're working with a cancer plan or a hospital indemnity plan that has a rider for the other, we typically would recommend writing those as 2 separate policies. Again, usually you can either do it in the same e-app,
Yeah.
but if you do write it as a rider, for example, if a carrier has a hospital indemnity plan, you can add a lump sum cancer rider to it. If at any point they decide they want to cancel one of those, they end up canceling both of those. So if you keep those separate, it gives them the ability to cancel one without the other. Again, hopefully you can talk them out of doing so, but it separates those. And yet, to Sadie's point, the e-apps make this so easy. Most of the big name carriers out there that offer these ancillary products offer MedSups also,
Yeah.
and you can bundle it all in one e-app with
Yeah.
several of those.
Awesome, guys. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Like we said, this recording will be going out in our follow-up email. If you have any questions watching it back or just lingering afterwards, please feel free to call us at 800-689-2800. We want to make sure that this is clear as possible for you all. And if you have any other questions with specific products or with specific carriers, whatever it may be, we're happy to work with you on that. We want to be your back office support and be able to help you in any way that we can. But thank you all so much for joining us. Carson, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. This was great.
Awesome.
Call us with questions. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.